Welcome to the all viewers and well-wishers of the world. The purpose of my lecture is learn the knowledge from the word and return the knowledge to the word. Motto of my life is learn, earn and return. I have learned a lot, earned a lot. Now it's the time to return a lot to the word. The topic of today is Introduction to the Medical Parasitology. Parasitology, there are different fields of the parasitology like medical parasitology, veterinary parasitology, plant parasitology, etc. But here I am going to discuss only the medical parasitology. It is the science which deals with parasites and their pathogenic or harmful effects on the human beings. It is study of the parasites, their hosts, and the relationship between them. In general, the study of the prokaryote falls under the field of bacteriology rather than parasitology. So, prokaryotes are the different from the protozoa of parasitology. Parasites are some derived from our primate ancestors, some acquired from the animals. As one can see, the parasitology is made from para mean besides, site mean cyto, food, and ology means science. So it is the science which deals with the parasites. As one can see, the different kind of the parasites which are just causing damage and harmful effect to the human beings. Now, medical parasitology is subject that deals with parasites that infect human beings, disease caused by them, clinical picture, and the response of the humans against them is also dealt. It deals with the methods of their diagnosis, treatment, their prevention, and their control. Medical parasitology includes study of the three major groups of animals. Number one, parasitic protozoa. Number two, parasitic helminths, which are the worms, and arthropods that directly cause disease, or these act as vector of the various pathogens which they do take and to make it reach to the host causing the disease. So here one can see the ticks, the lice and the flies which lies on the surface of the body, and these are called ectoparasites, and the parasites which are living inside the human body. These are the roundworm, whipworm, hookworm, and the tapeworm. So the unicellular parasites, protozoa, and the multicellular parasites, helminths or arthropods, are also discussed under parasitology. These are different in their life cycle and pathogenesis, but comes under parasitology. During their life, parasitic organisms go through several developmental stages like changes in their structure, biochemical, and antigenic composition. Some parasites cause asymptomatic condition to life-threatening diseases which they can produce. Many parasitic infections are transmitted from animals to the humans, so these are collectively called as zoonotic infections from the animals to the human beings. Now, history of the parasitology, that's very important. The Italian Francesco Redi, considered as the father of the modern parasitology, he first recognized and described details of the many parasites, including in parasitology. Cysts and the image of the Giardia lamblia protozoan causing the giardiasis was first observed by Antony van Leeuwenhoek in 1681. He is also the pioneer of discovering the microscope. This was first protozoan parasite of the humans recorded and first seen under the microscopic view. That microscope he also invented. In 1687, Italian biologist Giovanni Cosimo Bonomo and Diacinto Sestoni recognized mite Sarcoptes scabiei causing the scabies. In 1828, James Nestle described amoebiasis by discovering Entamoeba histolytica. Here one can see the picture of these great scientists, Francesco Redi, the first mythbuster, then Antony van Leeuwenhoek, who discovered also the microscope. Then there's Gio Cosimo Bonimo, who discovered scabies, and James Nestle Radio, who is also a great scientist in discovery of the certain parasites. Louis Alexis Normand in 1876 discovered only helminth causing disease, that was strongyloides giacis. Patrick Manson discovered life cycle of elephantiasis caused by the nematode and the worms transmitted by the mosquitoes. Ronald Ross discovered malarial parasite, but at the same time, Giovanni Battista Grassi described the malarial parasite's life cycle in the Anopheles mosquito responsible for malaria. Ross was controversially awarded the Nobel Prize of 1902, but Grassi was not, as he has discovered the basically Anopheles mosquito responsible for malaria. So here one can see the Louis Alexis Normand, Patrick Monson, and the Sir Robert Ross, and the man discovered malaria parasite, and Giovanni Battista Grassi, who discovered the Anopheles mosquito responsible for the malarial disease. Now, epidemiology, 30% of the world population is infected with nematode, that is Ascaris lumbricoides, a misconcept parasitic infection seen only in the tropical area, but they occur globally, although they are more prevalent in tropics, rural villages, and overcrowded cities of the tropics. Reason being the poverty, lack of the clean water, and adequate sanitation is not there, and the personal hygiene is also very poor. People in temperate and subtropical areas become infected as they visit to the tropic countries and where they do harbor these parasites. And they return, these visitors, with a parasitic infection. Infection with the big three, these are Ascaris, Trichuris, and the hookworm is very common. And it is said to be that the warm regions of the world are the warm regions. So here one can see the sanitary condition, the personal hygiene of the people, lack of water, lack of proper shelter, and the lack of the proper food, which is all responsible for its prevalence more in the tropical areas. Now, there are certain terms which are being used in parasitology, and I am going to tell you something about that. Number one is the pathogen. It is a parasite which is capable of producing disease in the host. Non-pathogenic means not harmful to the body of the host. Patient, the host in which the damage is produced by the pathogen or the parasite, and carrier is the person who harbors the parasite but has got no clinical symptom. Here the parasite do produce the damage, but the patient is not having symptom. Damage is equal to the repair by the regeneration by the host. Now, eukaryote, a cell with a well-defined chromosome in the membrane-bound nucleus, and it is just eukaryote are all the parasites because they do have a well-defined chromosome in membrane-bound nucleus. Vector is a living carrier, an arthropod or insect. It transports a pathogenic organism from an infected to a non-infected host. Female Anopheles mosquito transmits malaria. Sandfly transmits the leishmania. So these are all vector. Next is protozoa. It is unicellular organism like Plasmodium causing malaria and amoeba causing the amoebiasis. Then comes metazoa. These are multicellular organisms like helminths, worms, and arthropods, ticks, lice, and insects. The next is habitat. It is a special site occupied by the parasite in the body of the host because if they are called enteric, they are living in the intestine, and if they are hemoparasite, they are living in the blood. Now, pathogenesis is the next term, that is how disease is produced, that is dynamic of the disease, and the next is larva migrans, that is the larva living in abnormal host. It cannot grow into the adult, but it can live as the larva there, but cannot become the adult. These larva migrans just migrate and cause local and the systemic lesion in the host. And the next is microparasites, simple unicellular, seen with the microscope, only like the protozoa, virus, bacteria, and yeast. These are all microparasites. Then macroparasites, the complex multicellular, these are visible with the naked eye like metazoan or the helminths like worms and the mite. So, as I have told you, the parasite is an organism that is dependent on another organism host for its survival. So these are microparasites that are small unicellular like protozoa. That is, I have already told you the Entamoeba histolytica and Giardia lamblia. And the macroparasites are large multicellular like helminths, worm, roundworm, and the other worm. A person can become so determined to destroy another person that they become blind and end up destroying themselves. See here, this is going to destroy the another, and when it is not able to destroy this, or if he has caught this, they both are going to fall and they end up destroying themselves both. Now, the parasite is an organism that obtains food and the shelter from the another organism and derives all the benefits from the host. Living organism whose life is dependent on another organism is called host, which accommodate the parasite. For all or part of its life cycle, it is going to accommodate the parasite, the host. An animal or organism which lives in or on the host is parasite. Parasites that cause harm to the host are pathogenic parasites. Those live in or on the host, not causing any harm, but they just live. These are called commensals. Some organisms called parasites are actually commensals, neither benefit nor harm their host, just like Entamoeba coli. So here one can see the parasites, tick, lice, fleas. These are lying on the surface of the host, and those which are living inside the body of the host. These are the roundworm, whipworm, hookworm, and tapeworm. Now, what is host? It is an organism in or on which parasite lives and causes harm. It suffers a loss caused by the parasite. It is an injured partner. Host supplies to the parasite nourishment and the shelter, and this process is called parasitism. In general, most people are susceptible host. Parasite reach a susceptible host, gain interest and make favorable residence there to have nourishment and the shelter. To complete its life cycle and cause transmission of the parasitic disease, they are living, parasites are living on the host. Now, there are different types of the host which accommodate the parasite. Number one is the definitive or the final host, that is the host in which adult or sexually mature stage of the parasite lives, like Antrobius vermicularis, Trichomonas vaginalis in the man. The other is intermediate host, the host in which the parasite lives during a period of its development only. During the larval stage or the asexual cycle only, these are classified further into first intermediate host, second intermediate host, and the third intermediate host, that is seen in case of the Diphyllobothrium lactum. And so the classification host, the definitive or the primary host, intermediate or the secondary host, then could be additional host, reservoir host, paratenic or transport host, and I'm going to give you the detail of these in the next slide. Alternate host, when two different kinds of the host allow the same kind of the parasite to live and grow, that is just like the Ascaris lumbricoides, the roundworm, can live in the man as well as in the pig. So that is called alternate host. The pig is alternate host. The next fourth host is reservoir host. Host which harbor same species of the parasite at the same stage as in the human host. So it harbor parasite, continues parasite's life cycle, so an additional source of the human infection, that is the reservoir host. Paratenic host, it is the transport host, the abnormal host in which the parasitic larva can survive but it cannot develop into the adult mature form. If larva get chance to enter to the respective host for which it is going to complete its life cycle, then they can develop in the adult parasites. Otherwise, they are just not able to complete their life cycle. The sixth is caprozoic. These are the organism swallowed merely pass through the alimentary canal in a passive condition. They are not living in the host as the true parasite, and these are frequently found in the feces. Term caprozoic is applied to them and also to those organisms which invade the past feces. So these are just the caprozoic parasite. The next seventh is zoonosis, parasitic disease in which an animal is normally the host but which also infects the man. Animal's disease is transmitted to the man. These animals, in fact, are already infected with the parasites, are called reservoir host, as one can see in case of rabies transmitted to the human being through the bites of the dogs. Now, the different sources of infection are: number one, patient. The persons who have the parasites in their body and show the clinical symptoms, they can transfer the infection to the other non-infected person. The carrier, the persons who have the parasites in their body but not show symptoms, but still they can transmit the disease to the non-infected person. Reservoir host, animals that harbor same species of the parasite as man. Sometimes the parasites in the animals can transmit into the human, as I have already told you in the definition. Now, there is host parasite relationship, which is called symbiosis. It is also called host guest relationship. The two different organisms live together. One partner lives in or on another one's body. Relationship between host and parasite is necessary for both, and they may cause no harm, are beneficial, or they do harm. This relationship is of three types. Number one is commensalism, number two is mutualism, and number three is parasitism. Simply, if one can understand that, it is commensalism when a person coming from far-flung area is going just to live on your rooftop as a shelter, but have its own food and nourishment from the outside. Mutualism is when you have some guest, paying guest, which is going to pay you something for the nourishment is taking, and you are getting the rent from that person. So we both are mutually beneficial to one another. So that is called mutualism. The third is parasitism. The person who lives in your body takes the nourishment by force and just have the shelter there. That is just like the son-in-law living in your home. Now, host parasite relationship symbiosis, number one is commensalism. This parasite or the symbiont is called commensal, and it is non-pathogenic. Parasite get shelter only and get benefit from host, like uses its waste product or the surplus product, but do not deprive the host from its own nourishment. One partner is beneficial while other is neither benefited nor injured, and that is unaffected, such as Entamoeba coli and man. The second symbiosis is mutualism. The mutuals are metabolically dependent on one another. Both partners benefit, as I have told you, the paying guest in your home. So one can just see the commensalism, one organism benefits and the other is unaffected. And mutualism, both organisms get benefit, and in parasitism, one organism benefits at the expense of the other. So continuing the mutualism, permanent association between the two different organisms, one cannot survive in the absence of other. Two partners benefit each other, such as the termites and the flagellates. The third is parasitism. It takes benefit from the host, uses useful product of the host and its nourishment, and causes the injury. Association of two different organisms, one partner is benefited while the other is injured, such as the Ascaris lumbricoides and man. So here one can see the parasitism unilateral benefit, and one can see the commensalism, they just take shelter and waste product of your food. And mutualism, that is reciprocal benefit, they give you some benefit and you take some benefit. And here in parasitism, only one benefit to the two species, that is, both are of and degree of the harm to the host, as one can see the partial or occasional dependence, and here there is closeness of the association factor provided, but basically one have to consider the parasitism, which is only having the benefit, unilateral benefit.